In the silent chambers of our minds lie treasures more valuable than gold, yet more vulnerable than glass. What we choose to share with the world shapes not only how others perceive us, but ultimately determines our inner peace and resilience. Against life's inevitable storms, as Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Today, we explore the wisdom of protecting certain aspects of ourselves, not from fear, but from prudence. Number 1. Your deepest ambitions. Look around you. See that colleague who snickers when you mention your aspirations. The family member whose eyes glaze over when you speak of your dreams. These are the dream thieves who walk among us, clothed in the garments of friendship and kinship. When we prematurely expose our ambitions to the world, we invite judgment before our ideas have had time to strengthen. The sapling that announces its intention to become a mighty oak invites the axe. Instead, cultivate your ambitions in the fertile soil of silence. As Epictetus advised, make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. When faced with those who would question your path, practice the art of pleasant deflection. Speak of generalities rather than specifics, and save your passionate details for those who have proven themselves worthy guardians of your trust. No, man can serve two masters, said Seneca, least of all when one is public opinion and the other is your private conviction. Number 2. Your personal struggles. Observe the chronic complainers, those who transform every inconvenience into tragedy, who wear their struggles like badges of honor. They drain not only themselves, but all who listen. When we broadcast our difficulties to anyone with ears, we dilute our power to overcome them. The energy spent in explanation is energy diverted from solution. The Stoic approach teaches us to distinguish between sharing for support and sharing for sympathy. Before speaking of your hardships, ask, do I seek counsel or merely comfort? If merely comfort, perhaps the struggle is best kept within, addressed with your own rational mind as counselor. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When tempted to unburden yourself to the world, first unbundle your emotions from the facts. Share the facts sparingly with those whose wisdom might illuminate your path, and process the emotions through reflection and reasoned self-dialogue. Number 3. Your financial status. Notice those who casually mention their salary in conversation, who display their wealth through constant material updates, or conversely, those who perpetually bemoan their financial woes. These individuals have surrendered their peace to the fluctuating values of external things. When we open our financial books to others, we invite comparison, envy, exploitation, or pity, none of which serve our tranquility or growth. The Stoic virtue of temperance guides us here. Practice discussing money and principles rather than particulars. Speak of financial philosophy rather than figures. When pressed, redirect with questions about values rather than valuables. As Musonius Rufus taught, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. By keeping private the details of our material circumstances, we free ourselves to be judged by character rather than currency. Number 4. Others' secrets. Consider the friend who begins conversations with, "Don't tell anyone," but, or the colleague who builds rapport through shared gossip. These individuals trade in social currency that bankrupts integrity. When we relay what was told in confidence, we commit a double betrayal of the original trust and of our own character. The Stoic practice of integrity demands that we become vaults for others' confidences. When tempted to share another's secret, ask yourself, would I want my vulnerabilities circulated as casual conversation? The answer illuminates the path. Marcus Aurelius counseled, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Apply this wisdom by being stricter with your tongue than others are with theirs. When conversation turns to gossip, steer it toward principles rather than people, ideas rather than individuals. The greatest remedy for anger is delay, taught Seneca. Similarly, the greatest remedy for gossip is silence. Number 5, your insecurities. Look at those who constantly seek reassurance, who preface their statements with self-deprecation, who fish for compliments. They have externalized their self-worth, making it dependent on the fluctuating opinions of others. When we publicize our insecurities, we transform private doubts into public identity. What begins as a thought becomes, through repetition to others, our defining narrative. Stoicism teaches us to distinguish between productive vulnerability and self-sabotage. Before sharing an insecurity, question: will voicing this lead to growth or merely reinforce limitation? Often, our deepest insecurities are best addressed through private reflection and deliberate action rather than public confession. Develop the practice of internal dialogue. When insecurity arises, engage it as you would a misguided friend, with firm compassion and clear reasoning. As Epictetus advised, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Number 6, your political views. Observe those who cannot discuss the weather without injecting politics, who view all interactions through an ideological lens. They have sacrificed connection on the altar of conviction. When we freely broadcast our political positions, particularly in inappropriate contexts, we create unnecessary division and close doors to understanding. The Stoic virtue of wisdom includes knowing when to speak and when to listen. Practice the discipline of context awareness. There are times for political discourse and times for human connection, transcending ideology. As Zeno of Citium suggested, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we say. When political discussions arise in unsuitable settings, redirect toward common ground rather than contested territory. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, wrote Viktor Frankl, channeling Stoic wisdom. In that space is our power to choose. Our response? Choose responses that build bridges rather than walls. Number 7, your good deeds. Notice those who document every charitable act for social media, who manage to mention their volunteer work in unrelated conversations. They have transformed generosity from virtue to performance. When we publicize our acts of kindness, we corrupt their essence. The reward becomes external validation rather than the act itself. Stoicism teaches us to find satisfaction in virtue for its own sake. As you perform acts of service, practice the discipline of anonymity. Let your right hand be ignorant of your left hand's generosity. When pressed about your contributions, redirect praise toward the cause rather than your role in it. Seneca advised, "He who does good to another does good also to himself." This good is diminished when done for applause rather than principle. Number 8, your deepest values. Look at those who shift their principles with the changing winds of social approval, who adopt and discard values like fashion. They have surrendered their inner compass to the crowd. When we casually share our deepest values with those who cannot appreciate them, we risk having sacred things trampled by the indifferent. The Stoic practice of discernment guides us to recognize appropriate audiences for our most profound convictions. Before sharing your core values, consider, is this person seeking understanding or merely conversation? True values are best revealed through consistent action rather than casual declaration. Develop the discipline of living your values so visibly that stating them becomes unnecessary. When questioned about your principles, respond with the Socratic method. Ask questions that help others discover their own values rather than imposing yours. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Conclusion. The art of selective sharing is not about secrecy but sovereignty, maintaining dominion over what is rightfully yours to control. In a world that increasingly demands transparency in all things, remember that the most precious elements of nature remain hidden. Roots grow underground, pearls form within shells, gold lies buried in the earth. So too should certain aspects of ourselves remain protected, not from fear, but from reverence for their value. As we navigate life's complex social terrain, let us be guided by Epictetus's wisdom. Make it your business to draw out the best in others by being an exemplar yourself. And sometimes being an exemplar means maintaining